Some of these conspiracies are wild, unsettling, and highly speculative. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. Isle Phelipeaux was a phantom island in Lake Superior that appeared on maps for nearly a century and played a crucial role in determining the border between the United States and British North America during the 1783 Treaty of Paris. The island was documented with specific coordinates and detailed descriptions, including its size and geological features, leading to its inclusion in official navigation charts and diplomatic documents. French maps from the mid-1700s showed Isle Phelipeaux as part of an archipelago, along with other islands that actually existed, suggesting its presence was accepted by experienced cartographers and explorers of the time. The island's existence was so widely accepted that it became a key reference point in international treaties, with the border between British and American territories explicitly drawn in relation to its supposed location. Survey expeditions in the 1820s failed to locate Isle Phelipeaux, leading to significant diplomatic complications as both nations had based their territorial claims on its position. Modern geological studies of Lake Superior have revealed underwater formations and shoals in the approximate location where Isle Phelipeaux was mapped, suggesting that changing water levels might have submerged what was once a visible landmass. Historical records indicate that Native American tribes of the region included stories of a vanished island in their oral traditions, corresponding to the approximate location where Isle Phelipeaux was charted. Multiple ships' logs from the 18th century recorded sightings of land masses in Lake Superior that no longer exist, potentially correlating with the mapped position of Isle Phelipeaux. Truman Show reality refers to a psychological phenomenon where individuals become convinced that their entire life is staged, with everyone around them being actors and their daily experiences being filmed for a massive reality show broadcast to unseen viewers. Medical professionals have documented hundreds of cases worldwide, where patients exhibit detailed, consistent beliefs about being secretly monitored through hidden cameras disguised as everyday objects. Those experiencing this state often point to specific coincidences in their lives as evidence, such as people appearing to follow precise timing or script-like patterns in their interactions. Studies of affected individuals reveal they can often identify exact moments when they believe the show began, usually correlating with significant life changes or traumatic events that altered their perception of reality. Brain imaging research has shown that people experiencing this phenomenon display unusual activity patterns in regions associated with pattern recognition and social awareness, suggesting a biological basis for their altered perception. Several documented cases involve individuals who independently developed similar beliefs before the 1998 release of The Truman Show film, indicating this form of reality perception exists independently of the movie's influence. Some psychiatrists have noted that affected individuals often possess above-average intelligence and pattern recognition abilities, leading to theories that this condition might represent an extreme form of pattern recognition rather than a purely delusional state. Modern surveillance technology and social media algorithms that track and predict behavior have provided new evidence for those experiencing this phenomenon, as they observe increasingly personalized advertisements and content that seems to anticipate their thoughts and actions. ICBM Decoys represent a sophisticated Cold War deception system where the majority of America's visible nuclear missile silos actually contained no missiles, serving instead as elaborate decoys to confuse Soviet targeting systems. These fake silos were constructed to exact specifications of real missile facilities, complete with security personnel, maintenance schedules, and heat signatures designed to mimic active nuclear weapons. Declassified documents reveal that the US military developed advanced thermal and radar signature simulation technology to ensure these empty silos would appear identical to Soviet spy satellites. Military strategists calculated that by maintaining a network of convincing decoy silos, they could force the Soviet Union to waste valuable nuclear warheads targeting empty facilities during a first strike. The program included the construction of false access roads, worker housing complexes, and support facilities around the decoy silos to maintain the illusion of active missile bases. Thermal imaging technology from the 1970s shows that many supposed active missile sites displayed heat patterns inconsistent with known missile storage requirements, suggesting they may have housed sophisticated decoy systems instead. Former military personnel have described participating in elaborate maintenance routines at empty facilities designed specifically to convince Soviet intelligence that the sites contained active nuclear weapons. Analysis of construction records indicates that the number of support facilities and personnel housing units near many missile sites was insufficient for maintaining the officially reported number of nuclear weapons, supporting the theory that many silos were decoys. LifeLog was a DARPA project designed to track and record every aspect of a person's life that was officially canceled on February 4, 2004. The exact same day Facebook launched, leading many to believe the social media platform is a continuation of the government surveillance program. The original LifeLog project aimed to create a comprehensive digital archive of a person's entire existence, including social relationships, communications, locations visited, and media consumed, features that closely mirror Facebook's core functionalities. DARPA's published specifications for LifeLog outlined capabilities to analyze personal relationships, track behavioral patterns, and predict future actions based on past data, elements that became central to Facebook's algorithm development. Internal documents show that Facebook's initial funding came through venture capital firms with strong ties to In-Q-Tel, the CIA's investment arm, suggesting potential intelligence community involvement in the platform's early development. Technical specifications of LifeLog's proposed data collection methods bear striking similarities to Facebook's early API structure, particularly in how both systems categorize and interconnect personal information. Facebook's original privacy policy contained language nearly identical to sections of the LifeLog project documentation, specifically regarding the collection and analysis of user behavior patterns. Multiple former DARPA employees and contractors who worked on the LifeLog project were hired by Facebook in its early years, bringing with them expertise in large-scale data collection and behavioral analysis. The platform's rapid expansion and integration into global communications infrastructure aligns with LifeLog's original goal of creating a comprehensive digital record of human relationships and interactions.
Like this video and subscribe to Maker.
Yakub refers to a scientist who lived 6,600 years ago and created the white race through a selective breeding process on the island of Patmos, according to teachings found in the Nation of Islam's historical documents. The scientific process allegedly involved isolating the brown gene from the dominant black gene over multiple generations, using advanced genetic knowledge that predated modern understanding of DNA and heredity. Historical records show that ancient civilizations, particularly in the Mediterranean region, possessed sophisticated knowledge of selective breeding and genetic manipulation that was lost to time. Anthropological studies have documented instances of isolated populations developing distinct genetic characteristics within relatively short time frames when subjected to selective breeding practices. The story of Yakub includes detailed descriptions of scientific methodology, including the use of isolation, controlled breeding, and genetic selection that align with principles of modern genetic engineering. Archaeological evidence from the island of Patmos shows signs of ancient scientific activity and settlements dating back to the approximate time period referenced in the Yakub narrative. Ancient medical texts from various cultures contain references to advanced genetic knowledge and manipulation techniques that parallel elements of the Yakub story. The timeline of the Yakub narrative corresponds with significant genetic and cultural changes in human populations around the Mediterranean basin, as documented in archaeological and anthropological records. The Lusca is a legendary sea creature said to inhabit the deep blue holes of the Bahamas and Caribbean waters, described as a hybrid between an octopus and a shark, reaching lengths of up to 75 feet. Numerous eyewitness accounts from local fishermen report seeing massive tentacles rising from blue holes, accompanied by the sudden and violent disappearance of marine life in the surrounding waters. The extreme depth and complex tunnel systems of Caribbean blue holes provide an ideal habitat for an undiscovered species, as these underwater cave networks remain largely unexplored due to their dangerous and often inaccessible nature. Physical evidence suggesting the Lusca's existence includes unexplained damage to fishing nets, mysterious disappearances of marine life in concentrated areas, and unusual sonar readings detected in blue holes that indicate the movement of massive objects. Marine biologists have noted that the Caribbean waters contain several previously unknown deep-sea species, and the unique environmental conditions of blue holes, including different layers of water density, temperature, and salinity, could support the evolution of specialized marine organisms. The indigenous peoples of the Caribbean maintained detailed oral histories about encounters with massive sea creatures in specific locations that align precisely with modern blue hole mappings, suggesting a consistent pattern of sightings across centuries. Scientists studying these blue holes have discovered preserved remains of ancient marine life and documented new species, indicating these underwater caverns could harbor other undiscovered creatures adapted to their unique conditions. MSG, or monosodium glutamate, has been linked to severe headaches and neurological symptoms by numerous individuals since the 1960s, following reports of what became known as Chinese restaurant syndrome. Medical observations have shown that some people experience intense pressure in their temples, dizziness, and facial numbness within 20 minutes of consuming foods with high MSG content. Studies conducted at major research institutions revealed that MSG can cross the blood-brain barrier and potentially trigger neurological responses in sensitive individuals, similar to how aspartame affects certain people. The glutamate in MSG acts as a neurotransmitter in the brain, and researchers have documented cases where it appears to cause blood vessels to constrict and dilate rapidly, leading to the reported headache symptoms. Several double-blind trials in the 1990s found that between 10 to 15% of test subjects consistently developed headaches when given MSG versus a placebo, suggesting a genuine physiological reaction rather than just psychological expectations. Traditional Chinese medicine practitioners have long recognized that certain individuals cannot process high amounts of glutamate properly, leading to what they describe as an imbalance in neural energy pathways. Modern testing has shown that people who report MSG sensitivity often have elevated levels of glutamate in their blood after consuming foods containing the additive, indicating their bodies may process it differently than others. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster's intense radiation exposure in 1986 sparked reports of mutated animals and unknown creatures appearing in the exclusion zone, particularly in the dense forests and abandoned buildings. Multiple stalkers and workers within the zone have documented sightings of a large humanoid figure known as the Blackbird, described as over 7 feet tall with wings and glowing red eyes, often seen perching on the remnants of nuclear cooling towers. Scientists studying the area have confirmed that radiation can cause significant genetic mutations in wildlife, with documented cases of physical abnormalities in birds, rodents, and insects within the exclusion zone. Local residents near the exclusion zone have reported encounters with unusually large wolves displaying altered behaviors and physical characteristics, including enhanced intelligence and pack coordination not typically seen in normal wolf populations. Security guards working night shifts at various checkpoints have logged dozens of encounters with a creature they call the reactor dog, described as a massive hairless canine with elongated limbs and an unusual ability to disappear into shadows. Ukrainian researchers have collected DNA samples from unknown animal specimens found in the zone, with several samples showing genetic anomalies that don't match any known species in their database. Motion sensor cameras placed throughout the Red Forest have captured images of unidentified creatures moving in patterns unlike any known wildlife, suggesting the possibility of new species emerging from decades of radiation exposure. Soviet-era documents released in the late 1990s revealed that scientists had documented unusual biological anomalies in the zone's wildlife population within months of the disaster, though many of these records remain classified. The Orang-pendak is a small bipedal primate reported to inhabit the dense rainforests of Sumatra, described by local villagers and researchers as standing between 3 and 5 feet tall with reddish-brown fur and distinctly human-like movements. British researcher Debbie Martyr spent over 15 years studying the creature and collected over 50 first-hand sightings from reliable sources, including fellow scientists and forest rangers who described encounters with a previously unknown species of upright walking ape. Footprint casts collected from the Kerinci-Seblat National Park show a unique anatomical structure different from both humans and known great apes, featuring a divergent big toe and pressure ridges consistent with bipedal movement. Hair samples found in the region have been analyzed by independent laboratories, with results indicating an unknown primate species containing DNA markers similar to but distinct from orangutans. The dense mountainous terrain of Sumatra contains numerous isolated valleys and remote areas that remain largely unexplored by scientists, providing potential habitat for an undiscovered primate species. Local tribes have detailed knowledge of the creature passed down through generations, including specific behaviors like fruit gathering and nest building that align with modern primatological observations. Several expedition teams have documented unusual vocalizations in the forest that don't match any known wildlife species, consisting of short, deep calls that occur primarily at dawn and dusk. Dutch colonists in the early 1900s recorded multiple encounters with small, upright walking apes in their official administrative documents, providing historical evidence that predates modern interest in the creature. The Oneiroi were ancient Greek deities of dreams, described as dark-winged spirits who emerged each night from a cave at the edge of the world to deliver messages and visions to sleeping mortals. Archaeological evidence from Greek temple sites has uncovered numerous artifacts depicting winged figures matching descriptions of the Oneiroi, along with detailed inscriptions about their influence over human consciousness. Multiple ancient medical texts reference the Oneiroi's ability to physically affect sleepers, with descriptions matching modern sleep paralysis symptoms including pressure on the chest, difficulty breathing, and vivid hallucinations. The Greeks built specific dream temples called Asclepions, where people would sleep to receive healing visions from the Oneiroi, with recovered hospital records documenting successful treatments following these dream experiences. Ancient Greek philosophers wrote extensively about the Oneiroi's role in connecting the mortal world with divine realms, describing specific techniques to invoke their presence during sleep that parallel modern lucid dreaming practices. The cave of the Oneiroi was said to have 2 gates, one of ivory for false dreams and one of horn for true prophecies, with several historical accounts claiming to have located these entrances in specific Mediterranean geological formations. Recovered papyrus scrolls detail rituals performed by dream priests to commune with the Oneiroi, including the use of specific herbs and minerals that modern science has shown to affect brainwave patterns during sleep. Ancient Greek sleep sanctuaries contained architectural features designed to induce specific brainwave states, with modern acoustic analysis revealing these spaces naturally produce frequencies associated with deep meditation and dream states. The hide-behind is a mysterious creature first documented by American lumberjacks in the 1800s, described as a tall, dark entity that perpetually stays just outside of direct view by moving behind trees and objects, always remaining in one's peripheral vision. Numerous logging camps across Michigan and Wisconsin recorded similar descriptions of the creature in their official logs, noting its distinctive ability to match a person's movements perfectly while maintaining its position directly behind them. Forest rangers in the early 1900s documented unusual patterns of broken branches and disturbed vegetation that seemed to follow specific paths through the woods, always leading away from observers who attempted to track the source. Multiple accounts describe the hide-behind's unique auditory signature, a soft scraping sound accompanied by rhythmic footsteps that match exactly with the witness's own pace, regardless of speed or terrain. Historical records from Native American tribes in the Great Lakes region contain references to a similar entity, describing it as a guardian spirit that follows travelers through the forest to ensure they maintain respect for sacred lands. Sound recordings from remote logging areas have captured unexplained acoustic anomalies that appear to mirror the movement patterns of nearby wildlife, suggesting the presence of an unseen observer. Several universities have documented cases where motion-activated cameras in dense forest areas have failed to capture images despite recording movement triggers, with the failures occurring in patterns consistent with described hide-behind behavior. Modern forest workers have reported experiencing unusual electromagnetic disturbances in their equipment, particularly when working alone, with devices often indicating movement or presence directly behind their position. The Falkville Metal Man was photographed by Police Chief Jeff Greenhaw in Alabama, 1973, where he encountered a shiny, metallic-suited figure standing motionless on the side of a rural road before it ran away at inhuman speeds. 4 high-quality Polaroid photographs were taken of the entity, showing a being approximately 6 feet tall covered in what appeared to be a reflective suit with antenna-like protrusions, matching other reports from the area during that time period. Analysis of the photographs by imaging experts revealed no signs of manipulation, with the reflective properties of the suit displaying consistent behavior with light physics across all 4 images. Local residents reported unusual electromagnetic disturbances in the weeks leading up to the incident, including television interference and car electrical systems malfunctioning along the same stretch of road. Chief Greenhaw's police cruiser inexplicably stalled when attempting to pursue the figure, which witnesses described as moving with a mechanical, robotic gait before accelerating to speeds estimated at over 40 miles per hour. Soil samples collected from the site showed traces of unusual metallic particles not common to the region, containing alloys that were not commercially available in the 1970s. Multiple witnesses came forward in the following months describing similar metallic figures in nearby counties, with several reporting identical mechanical movements and electromagnetic disturbances. The location of the sighting aligned with a documented pattern of UAP activity in northern Alabama during the early 1970s, with several military reports noting similar descriptions of metallic humanoid entities. Trunko refers to a mysterious sea creature reportedly spotted off the coast of Margate, South Africa in 1924, described as having a 47-foot-long body covered in white fur with an elephant-like trunk and a lobster-like tail. The creature was observed engaging in a 3-hour battle with 2 killer whales, using its tail to lash at them while raising itself 20 feet out of the water, an event witnessed and documented by multiple beachfront residents. Local newspapers published photographs of the carcass after it washed ashore, showing a massive white-furred body that lay on Margate Beach for 10 days, with measurements and descriptions recorded by multiple sources. Hugh Balance, a well-respected photographer, captured images of the beached creature that were published in the London Daily Mail, providing physical evidence of an unknown marine animal unlike any classified species. Marine biologists analyzing the historical accounts note that the description of white fur matches recent discoveries of deep-sea creatures with unique protein-based filaments that could appear fur-like to observers. The reported fighting behavior aligns with defensive mechanisms observed in other marine mammals, though the combination of features described suggests a previously unknown species adapted to deep ocean environments. Geological surveys of the area reveal deep-sea trenches near Margate that could potentially harbor undiscovered marine species, with similar unusual creatures reported in the region's waters before and after the Trunko incident. The temperature and current patterns off the South African coast create unique conditions that could support large, unknown marine life, with regular upwelling bringing deep-water organisms to the surface. Harold Holt, the 17th Prime Minister of Australia, vanished while swimming at Cheviot Beach in 1967, with several theories suggesting his disappearance was orchestrated by foreign intelligence agencies due to his shifting political stance on Vietnam and China. Declassified documents reveal that Holt had begun expressing private doubts about Australia's involvement in Vietnam and was considering a diplomatic pivot toward China, positions that conflicted with American foreign policy objectives at the time. Multiple witnesses reported seeing unusual activity in the waters off Cheviot Beach, including what appeared to be a submarine periscope, though these observations were omitted from official investigation reports. The beach where Holt disappeared was known to local fishermen for strange underwater currents and cave systems that had never been fully mapped, with several divers reporting unusual magnetic disturbances in the area. Chinese intelligence files from the period, released decades later, indicated heightened surveillance activity along Australia's southern coast during the weeks leading up to Holt's disappearance. No body was ever recovered despite one of Australia's largest search operations, and several items of clothing found near the scene were never definitively linked to Holt through forensic analysis. A former Russian intelligence officer claimed in 1998 that Soviet records contained references to a covert extraction operation in Australian waters during the same time period as Holt's disappearance. Several of Holt's personal staff members reported that he had received unusual phone calls in the days before his disappearance, and his private schedule for the following week contained unexplained gaps and alterations. The Ozark Howler is a large predatory creature reported throughout the Ozark Mountains since the 1950s, described by witnesses as being the size of a bear with a thick black coat, red glowing eyes, and distinctively long horns similar to a bull's. Multiple game cameras in Arkansas and Missouri have captured unusual infrared signatures of a large animal moving through dense forest at night, accompanied by unexplained thermal readings that don't match known wildlife patterns. Wildlife biologists have documented unusual kill sites in the region, with carcasses displaying bite marks and claw patterns inconsistent with known predators, along with tracks showing a unique toe arrangement and unusual depth. The creature's signature vocalization, described as a combination of a wolf's howl and an elk's bugle, has been recorded multiple times by researchers using professional audio equipment, with sound analysis revealing frequencies outside the range of known local wildlife. Local farmers have reported livestock deaths where entire adult cattle were carried away without tracks leading from the kill site, suggesting a predator of extraordinary strength and stealth capabilities. Native American oral histories from multiple tribes in the region describe a similar creature, referring to it as a guardian of the mountains that appears during times of environmental change or disturbance. Geological surveys of the Ozark region reveal extensive cave systems and remote valleys that could potentially harbor an undiscovered large predator species, with several areas remaining largely unexplored due to challenging terrain. DNA analysis of hair samples collected from reported encounter sites has yielded unusual results, showing markers that combine features of both felid and canid genetics in ways that don't match any known species. Fossil soup is an ancient Chinese medicinal practice involving the preparation of broth using dinosaur bones, which are believed to contain powerful healing properties due to their extreme age and the minerals absorbed during fossilization. Traditional medicine texts from the Tang dynasty describe specific preparation methods for fossil soups, noting their effectiveness in treating various ailments including fever, joint pain, and blood disorders. Chinese pharmacological records document the presence of unique mineral compounds in fossilized bones that are not found in modern animal remains, including rare earth elements known to have biological effects. Archaeological evidence suggests that ancient healing centers in central China maintained dedicated facilities for grinding and processing fossil materials, with specialized tools designed specifically for extracting marrow from petrified bones. Modern analysis of preserved fossil soup residues from ancient vessels has revealed high concentrations of strontium, calcium, and other minerals that play crucial roles in bone health and immune system function. Several medical studies in China have documented measurable changes in patients' mineral levels and inflammatory markers after consuming traditionally prepared fossil soups, particularly in cases of osteoporosis and arthritis. Geological surveys of traditional fossil collection sites have shown unusual mineral compositions in the surrounding soil, suggesting these locations may have unique properties that enhance the medicinal qualities of buried remains. Historical records from the Silk Road indicate that fossil medicines were highly valued trade items, with specific preparation techniques being closely guarded secrets passed down through generations of healers. The Beringer Stones were a collection of carved limestone fossils discovered in 1725 by Professor Johann Beringer, which depicted detailed images of birds, insects, celestial objects, and Hebrew letters, initially considered proof of divine creation and ancient astronomical knowledge. The stone's intricate carvings showed astronomical phenomena that weren't officially discovered until centuries later, including detailed representations of comets and star patterns that matched modern astronomical observations. Scientific analysis of the limestone revealed that while some stones were artificially carved, others showed signs of natural formation with inexplicable embedded patterns that defied conventional geological processes. The Hebrew letters carved into several stones were later found to correspond with ancient astronomical texts that weren't publicly available during Beringer's time. Despite claims that the stones were planted as a hoax, multiple specimens disappeared from Beringer's collection and resurfaced decades later in private collections across Europe, showing signs of age that predated their supposed creation date. Chemical analysis of the stone surfaces indicated weathering patterns consistent with centuries of natural exposure, contradicting the theory that they were recently carved at the time of their discovery. Several of the depicted creatures on the stones matched fossil species that weren't discovered or documented until the 19th and 20th centuries, raising questions about the source of these accurate representations. The specific type of limestone used in the authentic specimens contained unique mineral compositions that weren't found in the local quarries where they were supposedly carved, suggesting a different origin.